Welcome back. Let's build off the code that we wrote last time. Let's say we want to make a program that takes input from the user and uses it to do something. In this case, it would be something like the user wants to make a table, and this user uses a program that tells the user exactly what the diameter would be, what the circumference would be, what the area would be for that table, basically all the information just from getting the radius. That sounds pretty complicated, so let's break it down. Firstly, we want to prompt the user to enter something. You can't just have a blank page, then the user wouldn't know what to do. So, where we wrote hello world, let's just change that code to say enter the radius of the circle. Build and run our program. It says enter the radius of the circle. Well done. But it's not accepting any inputs. So how do we do that? Quite simple, actually. In coding, you have something called an integer, a double, and a float. Now we're going to look at an integer, a double, and a float in this example. An integer is a whole number, so no commas with numbers added afterwards. It's like 1, 2, 3, etc., and -1, -2, -3, etc. A float and a double are pretty similar. A double can take numbers with a comma and a float as well, but a float is 64-bit, whereas a double is a 32-bit. Now this is a little bit of extra information, so if it doesn't make sense, it's fine. Just know that an integer is whole numbers, and if you have a number that needs a comma, you either use a double or a float. We need to define something. So I press tab to move it up. In this case, we want to define the radius that can possibly be something with a comma. We're going to say double space radius, or R. You can name this literally anything, but it does help when you say what the actual thing is, like in this case radius, because if you write complex code, then it makes it easier for you to break down what you're doing. End it with a semicolon. Now, to take user input, we use a function called scanf, brackets, and inside here, we have quotation marks, and in these quotation marks, we reference the double or the float that we made. Now, with double, the printing character that goes with it is %lf. Each integer, double, float has its own print character that goes with it. In this case, with a double, we use %lf. These can also be found online, and it's also something that you unfortunately need to memorize. %lf, then we added a comma, now we add an ampersand, and we reference the double, which is radius. Add your semicolon. Let's see if this runs. Enter the radius of a circle, 12.2. And if you want to check if this program is running correctly, then you can just say printf, brackets, quotation marks, semicolon at the end, %lf, comma, radius. Let's see if it prints it for us. Enter your radius of your circle, 12.2, and it prints it out, 12.2. Let me explain this code a little bit more. So, printf says that we are going to print something. We're going to print some text for the user to see. But what do we want to print? We want to print a double that we received before. And what is that specific double that we are referring to? It's the double that we defined here, which is the radius. And there you have it, bada bing, bada boom. Now in this case, we don't want to print the radius back to the user. They already know what the radius is. This is just something to, once again, like I said, test your program. If you want to take something away, but technically keep it there, you just add 2 of these. And you will see your text going gray. This code will be completely ignored, but it's nice to have it there. So if you want to make annotations in your code, perfect way to do it. We have the prompt. We have the ability to take that radius and have it stored. But now we want to do something with that radius. In this case, we want the diameter of the table, we want the area, and the circumference of a circle, calculated from the radius. So the diameter is quite easy. Let's define the diameter. Once again, we have a double because the diameter can be something with a comma. Then we have diameter, ended with a semicolon. We're going to say printf because we want the user to see what the diameter is. The diameter of the circle is, we know that it is 2 times the radius. But how do you do math in this? Remember, we referenced math in here. So this program will understand normal math. And now we want to reference back to the radius, which is a double. And what goes with the double as a printing character? Percentage LF. So you say percentage LF, close your quotation marks, comma, because we need to say what specific double we are referencing. In this case, it's radius. But we're not just referring back to radius. We want the radius times 2 because we want to print the diameter. And the diameter of a circle is 2 times the radius. So in this case, remember, we said that the library is math.h. So all we have to do is just add an asterisk and a 2. Radius times 2. And remember your semicolon at the end. Let's print and run. So enter the radius of your circle, 12.2. If this is correct, then the diameter would be 24.4. Haha! We did it! It says 24.4 is the diameter. But now we need the circumference and the area as well. So, double, because it's something with a comma, circumference, semicolon, and now we say printf again, because we want the user to be able to see the circumference. The circumference of the circle is, once again, percentage LF, because we are referring back to a previously defined radius. Okay, but how do you calculate the circumference of a circle? It's 2 pi radius. So it's radius times, how do I multiply it by pi? Now we are stuck somewhere. So let's just write pi like this. We need to previously have defined pi, especially if we have a lot of different characters following after it. So let's create a double pi. This is how you add a value to a specific word. Pi should be 3.14. Now that pi is defined, so if you use pi here, the program knows that, oh, 3.14. Enter radius of your circle. Ta-da! Bada bing, bada boom. Now you'll see there's a problem. We want the radius of the circle, the diameter of the circle, and the circumference of the circle to be on their own individual lines. We know that the code messes up after this part over here. Now what you do is you go to the end of the printf, at printf where it messed up, and you enter this. Now if you run it, it will be underneath each other. I can add multiples of these, by the way, so if I add another one, then it will leave one space in between, like this. This equals an enter to go to the next line. Double area, semicolon, printf, the area of the circle is percentage LF, comma afterwards, because we're referring back to a previously defined double, which is radius. But now we have a problem. If I want to say radius to the power of 2, do I just do this? No. Unfortunately, you have to use a function for that. Once again, that's why we included the library math.h. So in this case, we want the radius to the power of 2 times pi. Radius to the power of 2, right? So it's radius comma 2. But we want the radius to the power of 2 multiplied by pi, which is also previously referenced here. And close the bracket. Let's print and see if it works. 12. Beautifully ran. But we know that here there's a little mistake, which we can easily fix by just adding this to the end. There we go. We have it. But now, a last thing before I go. Let's say you want only the last 2 digits in your code. You go to %lf, and here, just after the percentage, add a .2, and add a .2. Now if you run it, you say 12.22222, whatever, it will only round it up. It will only print 2 after the comma. And there you go. Check out my other videos if you want to see more coding assignments, or just in general, anything that you want to learn. Leave in the comments down below if you have any recommendations for videos that I should make. Until next time.